a video on making some chorizo sausages, which is pretty straightforward. A lot easier than you would think. It just takes a little bit of time. So I've got some pork belly, which is, well, I purposely bought more than I actually needed for something else. So I thought, well, I'll buy a full pork belly and then we'll use the rest of the pork belly to make some chorizo. So I'm going to cut that up and then I'm going to mince it. The mincing attachment on the mincer that I've got, you kind of need to cut it up beforehand before you put it through the mincer, otherwise it struggles and it just tends to not cut through. Like it'll mince the meat, but it won't mince the fat, and you would kind of want the fat. Ordinarily, you don't use pork belly. You will use pork shoulder and then add some fat to that, because pork shoulder is kind of quite lean. However, pork belly works just as well, and it's cheaper, and so you don't need to mess with the fat. I don't think I'll mince all the fat. I think what I'll do is we'll cut some of this fat off. Like, we'll cut that bit off because I don't want it too fatty. So we'll cut that bit of fat off. See, we can always, if there's too much fat, if there's not enough fat, we can always add a little bit more. But once we've minced everything together, we're stuck with the fat that we've got. And there's a bit of bone there, we don't want that. Yeah, I'm using a carving knife to do this. I know, I shouldn't be. But anyway, so pork belly, like that, and then just a case of dicing up beforehand. So, hold up, I've taken the skin off badly, as you can see. So, can you see? So we'll slice that there, and then there, and then there, like that. I'll just do a bit, and then you can't put it through like that either. So you can kind of see the pork belly and what kind of ratios of fat we've got. So I think that's a pretty good ratio. So do like that there, and then that'll go through the mince kind of quite easily. And I think last time I made some, I put it on a too finer mincing grade. I don't know which is the right word. So that's all fine. That'll go through the mince relatively easy. We're going to do it all. I think I used that one last time. There's a thinner one that's kind of quite fine, and then there's a coarser one. So there's three. I'm going to use that one this time because I want a coarser grain to the chorizo. So that's that, and then so I can't just remember the recipe, although I do know. I think I remember what it's at. There's the salt that you put into the chorizo needs to be 2% of the weight of the mince that you're using. So if it's for every 100 grams you need 2 grams of salt. That makes sense. Yes, 2% of 100 is 2. So yeah, so for every 100 grams worth of meat you need 2 grams of salt, or 2% of the whole weight of the meat, and that helps with the curing of the meat because it's going to cure for and dry for probably about a month, if I'm honest. Depending on how kind of dry and things, you're supposed to weigh them beforehand, and kind of you can tell when when they've lost a certain volume of weight, which is the liquid that's come out of them. Then it's safe for you to eat it. But I like quite a dry chorizo. Anyway, so I can dry them out quite a lot longer. So, and then it's smoked paprika, and then some fennel seeds. I think it's about 2.2 kilos. So whatever that is in salt, and there's about 65 grams worth of smoked paprika, and then about 15 grams worth of fennel seeds, and then I've got some wild garlic seeds. I've got some wild garlic in my garden. So I collected the seeds this year. Difficult to plant them from seed, wild garlic. And it failed last year when I collected some wild seeds. So I've instead of trying to re-sow them, the wild garlic seeds, I'm going to use them in cooking because they've got a nice bit of garlicky flavour to them. So I'm not going to put any garlic in with the chorizo. So the wild garlic seeds will do that, and I've got about 15 grams worth of wild garlic seeds as well. Then casings for the chorizo. It's just natural casings that I've got from the butcher's. He was kind enough to give me these free, but these are normally about £5, and you can make a lot of sausages from these. And essentially, that's what we were making. What we were really making is a sausage that's got a higher salt content so it cures. There's a lot. I won't use it all. It freezes really well. But instead of tying the chorizos up with a bit of string at the end, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use the actual pig casings, the sausage casings to hang the chorizo up. But we'll get to that when we're there. So I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I need to say. I really should be cutting that up now, and then mincing it, and then we'll get to the stage where we're mixing everything together, and then actually making the sausages, which is the fun part. But that's that. But yeah, so that freezes really well. But because there's a lot of it, I'm going to use it to tie the ends of the sausage up. I'm not brilliant at making sausages. You don't need to be. It's pretty straightforward. Right, the meat is minced. I haven't added anything to it yet. You need to make sure that everything's put together first before you start adding the salt to the meat, because as soon as you start to add the salt to the meat, the water wants to come out of it. So you need to make sure that you've got your sausage making machine up and running, and you've got the sausage casing on the nozzle. Right, so knot at the end, long length, because that's what we're going to use to tie up. Can you see? That's what we're going to use to tie up the chorizos. And then, so ingredients in, and then we'll give a mix around with hands, obviously. And then we'll start feeding it through the sausage maker. It came with my mixer. I was quite impressed. I thought I'll never use that, and then decided to make some sausages. So we're going to turn these. We're going to cure these, but you could just make them and then cook them straight away. Any kind of meat, or any kind of pork meat. I'm not really a fan of beef mince or anything like that in sausages, but that's mixed together, and then hopefully I've set this up correctly. Every time I do it, I always set it up wrongly. So that's all mixed together, everything combined, and then really probably should have cleaned my hands before we do this, but we'll see how we go. So that's up there, and then we'll start it off. Out of the way for a minute. Oh no, I need some kind of container to put the sausages in. Prepared as ever, eh? So we have got another bowl in this cupboard which we'll be able to use. There we go. That'll do the job. Are we going to put it on a tray? No, we'll put it on a tray. That there. That there, put it underneath, and then start the machine. Right, let's do it from above instead. We've got the sausage machine working, ish. So, switch it on, and then away we go. Right, so a little bit longer than that. What will that do? Yes, that's good length. So pull off sufficient amount of sausage casing, because this is what we're going to use to tie it up. Says faffing with string. Cut. There. Oh, need to sneeze. Off camera. So you get better as you do this. So I just kind of want to compact it a little bit. We've got air bubbles in there. That's fine. We're going to prick that with a pin just to let the air bubbles out. So tie off there like that. And then this is the bit that's going to tie it to whatever we're going to hang it up from. So tie there like that. Actually, probably better tying that bit. Ah, yes, that's what I did. I remember now. So, what we do is, because they're slippy with these sausage casings, we tie the knot behind the other knot. So we don't need that long bit, so I'll remember that for next time. So we tie, it's faffy, everything's faffy. So we'll tie a knot like that, move that to the end. That. No, we won't do it that way either. We'll do it the way we're going to do it in the first place. So, tie behind the knot. You can tell I'm not an expert at making sausages. So, tie behind the knot. That there. Pull that through so the knot sits behind the knot, and then it'll keep it in place, because we're going to hang it up on a rack in the fridge. Well, actually what we're going to do is we're going to leave it out overnight on a pole, just to start a fermenting process, which I don't know why, but everyone that I've seen making sausages does it. Well, Chorizo does it. So 2 knots behind, and then that'll hold in place like that. So there'll be in the fridge, I've got a rack, so we'll hold it up like that. Just kind of move around so it's kind of even, and then that should be it. So we can see what we call it, the wild garlic seeds in there. So we'll carry on until we've done all the mixture and as much sausage casings as we want. So I'll do one more. So tie there, start off with like that, move that back there, start again. Not long enough. Oops. We're only at home, they don't need to be exact. So pull off, we want about that much. About that much there. And then I'll make a better job of this time. So just move things around a little bit, make it a little bit more even. Tie at that end there, like that, and then tie this end behind that knot, and that'll keep it in place. You need to tie it behind the knot, because otherwise it'll just slip off. So it's a bit of a faffy thing to do. This is the way I'll do it in. As always, you know, this is the way I do it. You can do it any way you want, but I find that the more people that I watch doing things, you pick up different tips from different people. So even if you just pick up one tip from one person, it's worth doing. So I find this works particularly well. So double knot, so that'll keep it, and it's not going to go anywhere. There's that. So just want to move some of that meat around. I'm glad I've done it on the coarser grain, because it's what we call, you can see the bits of fat, so it'll give us a nice looking chorizo. But that's 2. I'll carry on doing it, and then I'll show you what it's like when it's hung up. They are finished, and they're hung up, and they're okay. So what I just need to do is this one. So where there are some air pockets, if the camera will focus, we just need to take a pin, but I've just got a razor blade, just to prick some holes in, just to let the air escape. So where you can see there's some air pockets like that one there, we'll just put a pinprick in that one. Try to do things, just a pinprick in there, just to let the air escape, and they're just going to stay out at room temperature overnight, and then I'm going to put them in the fridge tomorrow. And my fridge is pretty good because it's got quite a good airflow, because there's a fan in it. So that's what I do, and I have made them in a normal fridge in the past as well, so it kind of works. I don't know. People make them outside, people make them in cellars and all kinds of things. I just find it better to do it in the fridge. Certainly in the summer months, I find it would be a little bit too warm outside, and I'd wonder that it would go off or pests would get to it. So I just kind of leave them out overnight just to start off the process of drying out. They'll always start to dry out, and water will be coming out of them. But then in the fridge, and then I'll do an update every week or so, something like that. They have sometimes in the past got a little bit of mould on them, and what I've just done is I've just washed them and got rid of the mould. I wasn't too happy what type of mould it was. A white mould's generally fine. But any other kind of mould, I was just like, oh, let's just wash that off and see if we can save them. But anyway, so I'll prick the rest of them, and then they'll be going in the fridge tomorrow. Chorizo is now in the fridge. It's at the top of the fridge, so the fan is behind those things up there. So all the cold air is going to blow over those chorizo and dry them out. They've been out overnight, so they've already started to dry out. Certainly a lot drier to the touch. If you're going to do things in the fridge, make sure it's quite a dry fridge and a clean fridge as well. You don't want any kind of bacteria, so give it a good clean before you put things in the fridge, or have a fridge especially for curing meats and that type of thing. So if you live in a cooler climate, we're in the middle of summer at the moment and it's a little bit warm outside, so I suppose one day I will have a go at drying some outside. I just kind of think it's a little bit dangerous. Maybe I should take one of these and dry it outside. The next time I do, I'll take a chorizo and dry it outside and make kind of like a box for it that I can hang it in a tree or something like that when it's a bit of a breeze. But fridge always works for me, so if it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it. But there we go. So a couple of weeks at least. Keep an eye on them, check them, give them a good squeeze, give them a prod, see how they're doing. They don't want to be touching, there wants to be air flowing all around them. And yeah, so there is a certain amount of ratio of water that's supposed to evaporate off before you can eat them raw, but you could cook these now and they would be delicious. They're going to be nicer in 2 weeks, they'll be even nicer in a month. But that's it for the moment. So there'll be a follow-up video, obviously.